beautiful sunny 66-degree day in Fort Worth, Texas, as the NASCAR Nationwide Series field starts to roll out onto the Texas Motor Speedway for the parade and pace laps, and then the green flag and 300 miles of competition. Our ESPN in-race reporter on the day, as mentioned a minute ago, the driver who's won the championship in this Nationwide Series the last couple of years, making his first Nationwide Series start this season and looking to add to that win total that he has chalked up over the last couple of years. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. starting 11th today. Let's talk to him.
Hey, Ricky, Dale Jarrett. Good for a couple of questions?
Yes, sir, I got you.
All right, Ricky, we appreciate you talking with us. Our first question comes from our mailbag, and David in Sodas Point, New York asked, hopping back into a Nationwide car for the first time in a while, what do you feel is the biggest difference compared to the Gen 6 car?
I just forgot about how, you maintain the same speed all the way around the racetrack here. You know, the Cup cars and the Gen 6 cars get down the straightaway a lot faster, so just getting back acclimated to this Zest Mustang, but the guys have been doing a great job.
Ricky, I know when you were battling for your championships that you had to encounter a lot of the Cup drivers coming over and being a part of the races then. Now you're kind of on that other side and in a race probably for one of the first times with actually nothing to lose. How does it feel and what's your mindset?
It's been really fun. Seth and the guys have been working hard, trying to get us dialed in and trying to get what I'm asking for. So, I'm going to go out here, have fun, and see if we can't put this Zest Mustang in victory lane. And like I said, it's a lot of fun not having anything on the line except going to win.
All right, we'll look forward to watching you throughout the day. You have a great day. Now, Andy's going to talk to your crew chief, Seth Barber.
Thank you.
Hey, Seth Barber, Andy Petrie in the booth. You have us?
Yeah, I got you, Andy.
Hey, Seth, besides the obvious goal of winning this race today, what do you expect to gain by having Ricky in a one-off Nationwide race for Roush Racing?
Well, Andy, it's been a year since we've had Ricky in a Nationwide insurance race, and a lot of things can change in a year. You know, the setups have changed, the competition level has changed. So this is an opportunity for us to put Ricky in, get his feedback on where we're at right now as a program. And we'll take his feedback along with Trevor's and the rest of our drivers, and we'll go into the off-season and we'll work hard to improve these cars.
Okay, Seth, thanks for talking to us. I'm sure Ricky will give you 100% on that effort. Good luck.
Thanks, Andy.
Seth Barber, crew chiefing for Ricky Stenhouse Jr., our ESPN in-race reporter today. High-definition onboard cameras riding with the championship leader, Austin Dillon, with our AdvoCare on board. Regan Smith has our Chevy on board.
Man, we run our pit road speed all the way down here to the cone, all the way.
Getting that critical pit road speed set up. Sam Hornish, one of the championship contenders, has our Goodyear on board. And you heard from Ricky Stenhouse with our Nationwide insurance camera. Matt Kenseth has the GameStop on board. Brad Keselowski has the Ford EcoBoost camera. And Kyle Busch has our Toyota on board.
Well, tack's not set. 35 right now, that's right. 3,800 second is the number.
Everybody working on that pit road speed. And Alex Bowman, starting on pole today, the youngster has our Nationwide insurance on board. And a reminder that enhanced coverage today from Texas is available at NASCAR.com/RaceBuddy. 10 HD live race views, live chat, and live leaderboard. You'll find it there. You will find Mike Massaro down on pit road today. Michael?
Alan, as you know, they say everything is bigger in Texas. And when it comes to mistakes, that's especially true for the championship leaders. Austin Dillon holds a mere 8-point advantage over Sam Hornish Jr. And for these two, any mistake today will be magnified, Texas size, because after all, it could prove costly in their pursuit of the championship, Dave Burns.
Matt Kenseth is in this Nationwide race today. His chief rival for the Sprint Cup, Jimmy Johnson, is not. Will Matt learn anything toward that? Well, his crew chief, Matt Lucas, thinks he can when it comes to tire management, trends of the race, and also understanding the racetrack. And if Matt makes a mistake today, it's one more thing not to do tomorrow. Jamie Little.
Well, the last time that Brad Keselowski was in the Nationwide Series, he was wrecked by Kyle Busch while battling for second. Well, that caused the 22 team to lose their lead in the owner points. So the question today is, will Brad retaliate? The team tells me no, but reality is Brad has not forgotten about Kyle Busch, and just like normal, both cars are starting up front. Dr. Punch?
Well, Jamie, back in April, it was Brian Vickers who subbed for an injured Denny Hamlin here in the Sprint Cup race and finished 8th. So it's only appropriate today that Denny Hamlin would make his first and only nationwide start of the year by subbing for Brian Vickers here in the nationwide car. Now, Hamlin is a 2-time winner here in Sprint Cup competition, but has never won a nationwide race. And folks, as he's trying to grow a little bit of a beard, maybe in Boston Red Sox style, that might be his good luck charm to get him to victory lane here today. Alan?
I like the way you're thinking there, Doc. Pace car heads off. 200 laps around the 1.5 mile Texas Motor Speedway. The distance today for 300 miles. Let's see who gets to the checkered flag first. Bowman, the 20-year-old from New Mexico, the race leader from pole. That the fight for second. The Penske teammates, Hornish 12, Keselowski 22.
Yeah, once Alex Bowman got the tires to quit spinning as he's tried to take off there, he set sail.
Hornish cleared to second. Now Dillon and Keselowski racing for third. And you look from Kyle Busch's car.
Yeah, you see how these cars go down into turn 1. And Dale, I got to ask you, this has got to be a little unsettling. They're going into these shaded areas, and it looks like it's very difficult to see, at least from our vantage point.
Yeah, it really is. It becomes difficult to see. And these drivers, we heard Ricky talk about this momentum and the speed that you keep in these cars around the racetrack. Now, you have to really attack this place. You're out of the gas very little, if any, especially as the tires are fresh. So it's a little unsettling to drive off down in there, and really the view and scene changes for you quite a bit, as you'll see here.
Kyle Busch up to fourth place now for the lead. Sam Hornish closing in on Alex Bowman.
Yeah, this is important for Sam Hornish right now, I think, to get out front, get a bonus point. If he can lead a lot to try to get to that bonus point for leading the most laps would be good for him here today.
You can tell me just by that how little they are out of the throttle. Whoa, here comes Sam. Got to run.
I believe he got it by just a little.
A little help from a teammate, too.
NASCAR scoring confirmed. Sam led that lap. Bonus point in the championship for the second place driver starting the day, Sam.
There's a couple of things. They're running really, really fast. We see Kyle Busch now taking away that third spot. They're running so fast with these cars. They're out of the gas so little. There's a lack of grip that's out there. All of this is making this a difficult racetrack, and we'll see these guys sliding these cars around quite a bit. Hopefully, most of the time, it's a kind of a controlled slide.
Couple laps led for Hornish. Now Keselowski is out in front, so the lead changing hands a couple of times here in a few laps. This was close. Yeah, you actually got him, yeah.
Yeah, that's a problem spot. The banking really falls away from you as you exit that corner. You pick up a little bit of an arrow situation right there, too. You can see the front end go away from Sam just a little bit. Just a slight contact.
99 is the 22.
See if he hit hard enough to do any damage to that critical right front fender. So Kyle Busch already up to third and closing. And a good look there back through the top 20 in this early run. 99 Bowman back to fifth place with Stenhouse behind him and Brian Scott closing in also. Brian in the 2 car.
You would think going to Ricky Stenhouse here as we talk to him, going back to a lower horsepower car wouldn't be a big deal to a driver, but it does change the way that you have to do things, the feel that you get with the car because they are different, and the way that you have to attack this racetrack. And so when you have the much more horsepower that the Cup cars have, you can be a little easier in attacking the corners and maybe not abusing the tires quite as much. You don't have that luxury with these cars.
And I think that plays to Ricky Stenhouse's style. I think that's why he's been a two-time series champion in this series. He's very good at momentum racing, which is what this is, and staying in the throttle and attacking racetracks.
He had to get out of the throttle right there as he got a little bit loose coming off of turn 2.
Regan Smith in the 7 looking for a little running room. And again, this for 6th, 7th, and 8th places. Up front, Penske. Brad Keselowski, 22. Sam Hornish Jr., 12, running 1st and 2nd with Kyle Busch closing in from 3rd. It is Joe Gibbs' car. And we'll see how that one plays out between Sam and Austin Dillon. Sam Hornish and Austin Dillon, as the Nationwide Series by then will be down to just its final 2 races. 22, the number on top of the scoreboard here at Texas. Brad Keselowski taking the lead away from Sam Hornish just after Sam took it away from Alex Bowman. That's the story of the race so far. Caution free, but just underway here in Fort Worth. Keselowski out in front of 2nd place Hornish by 1.5 seconds.
Kyle searching around top to bottom, both ends. From a dirt standpoint, top to bottom is being used, both ends. Copy.
Joey Meyer, the spotter for Brad Keselowski, relaying some information on who's doing what behind him.
Yeah, it's nice to have a spotter that is able to see that and understand that that's good information for the driver. Even though he's pulling away, you never know what's happening back behind you, and you like to have that.
6th and 7th place here. Bowman 99, Scott 2. A lot of folks talking in the garage area throughout the weekend and through a couple of weeks of testing that led into this race. A lot of the NASCAR Sprint Cup teams out here for testing about how the track surface here at Texas continuing to age, and combine that with the racing tires and the speeds the cars run, and you're really starting to see people use every inch of pavement on this racetrack between the bottom of the banking and that concrete wall and safer barrier.
Yeah, this track's really reminded me more and more of Atlanta. The shape is very similar, and the facilities look familiar. Now the racing surface is getting more that way, and that worn out surface. I really enjoy the racing that we see there because it does put the cars all over the place.
Regan Smith in the 7, looking to drop the pole sitter Alex Bowman back to 9th place.
Yes, finding grip and kind of having that balance of your race car to where you can attack this place. Sometimes it's really easy as you know how hard you have to drive it into the corners to get the car a little bit tight. And then that will make you tight on the exit, and that could cause the car to snap around more times than the car just snapping loose. If he's not complaining about being loose in, it's probably a situation that his car is probably actually too tight, making it that way.
The other evidence of that is fast qualifying lap. A tight race car, you can really lay down a fast qualifying lap, which he did, sitting on the pole. But now it looks like it's taking its toll. And a lot of guys, I talked to, they really, it is a compromise. They try to get these cars to be good late in a run, and usually that's not good for qualifying.
So Bowman continuing to slide back, and you could hear him kind of pedaling the gas up and down in the middle of the corners, and particularly with these Nationwide Series cars, that's not the thing to be doing.
No, you got to be in the throttle as much as you can if you're going to make time with these cars.
Ricky Stenhouse Jr. running in 5th. A visitor atop his pit box today who tweets that she's not in driver mode today.
In girlfriend mode. It's on the pit box. I guess it's a rare opportunity for her to do that because they're usually racing against each other.
Yeah. And while we're on the 16 car, we check in the 16 pit with Dave Burns.
Well, I guess that means she's not going to get on the radio and tell him what to do about a race car that's a little free. Well, I guess she could, because she's a pretty smart girlfriend when it comes to race cars. Hopefully that free race car will work out for them. That's the communication back to Ricky. But then he did say, if I run that bottom line, I can tighten up the center of the corner. So right now, the two-time Nationwide champ searching for the best handling spot for that race car.
Well, Dave, he's not alone. About every one of these onboard shots we see, and just looking at the cars, they're all over the place, and drivers are really fighting to try and find a place.
They've kind of seen it all weekend watching practice sessions and qualifying sessions. Drivers really have their hands full.
Yeah, they're cranking on the steering wheel, but everybody doing a good job keeping them straight. No caution so far.
Brian Scott in the 2 looking for 5th place.
Yeah, watching practice yesterday, Brian Scott wasn't really happy with his race car for a lot of that practice. They'd made some changes. Finally, later in that second session, they felt like they came up on something, and I think that's showing here today and paying off for this race team.
And Stenhouse able to hang on to his top 5 position for the moment. Nobody's hanging on to the back bumper of the race leader, Brad Keselowski. Pulled away by 2.3 seconds from 2nd place, Sam Hornish Jr. Texas Motor Speedway NASCAR Nationwide Series 300-miler, the O'Reilly Auto Parts Challenge today, looking at the leader, Brad Keselowski, and his advantage over Sam Hornish, which is about 2 seconds, as we are caution-free to this point in the race, though still a lap or so shy of the 50-mile mark in this one. Here's the gap, 1st to 2nd. Sam Hornish in 2nd, Kyle Busch in 3rd, both reporting on the handling of their cars as we near a round of pit stops. He would know.
Yes, yeah. That they're both trying to get that information, hoping that their crew chief can help them out just a little bit.
Yeah, it's going to be hard, though, because I'm looking at the lap times. They're about a 1.5 seconds off of what they were in the beginning of the race, and they're just going to lose grip. And nothing you can do is going to take that away. You can help the balance for the driver. You can, if he's sliding the front tires, you can maybe make it a little bit better there. But if he's sliding both ends, it's hard to fix that.
It is. One thing I have seen is Sam Hornish go right up against the wall on the top side of the racetrack and start to cut into his teammate Brad Keselowski's lead a little bit here.
Now that is one thing you can do.
Yes.
When you start losing grip, you start searching for a new line.
Change for 5th. Brian Scott finally made the pass on Ricky Stenhouse. He's only tried it, what, about a half a dozen times. Got it done there, though.
It was actually for 6th. Looks like Matt Kenseth has passed both of these guys and gone into the top 5. He's sneaking up on us sooner than we anticipated.
Yeah, that was impressive by Brian Scott there. He could have tried to press the issue, and I think maybe a year or so ago, he would have done that and maybe got himself in some trouble, knowing he's got a pretty good car here. He was very patient at that time, worked and worked and worked, but finally made that pass. And that's a more experienced race driver and a better driver of what I see, thinking his way around here a little bit more than just taking his driving abilities and trying to get the most out of that. But this team's improved a lot, as well as this driver, Doc.
They certainly have, DJ. You hit the nail on the head a couple of years ago when Brian Scott had a loose race car like he does right now. He's loose in and loose off. He would have tried to overdrive it and probably gotten himself in trouble. Today, he realized his car was loose, but Stenhouse was looser. That's why he bided his time, was very patient, and was able to make the move and make the pass on Stenhouse, hoping to be able to get it tightened up on their first pit stop.
Right behind Brian Scott, Doc, Regan Smith trying to put Stenhouse another spot back. Talked to Regan on the grid before qualifying today, and he really wasn't sure what kind of race car they had for this one. Didn't think they were as good as they needed to be yesterday, but they went and tried some things and said, I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, and their second practice yesterday was really late. It was after a Sprint Cup qualifying, and things had cooled off quite a bit. I think you had to be really careful at that time. Matter of fact, I know some of them quit a little bit early, not wanting to fool themselves about what they had. But saw talked to a lot of drivers and teams that were searching around, not exactly sure, just like you were talking about Regan, exactly what they may have here when the race started today.
Somehow a conversation between Regan and I always drifts over into hockey, too. He's a big hockey fan. Teammates here. Trevor Bayne, 6, trying to move up.
Yeah, Stenhouse just struggling with that loose race car, and it's just hard to hold off these other faster cars when it's loose like that. He's trying a lot. I mean, he's moved his line around, but can only take that so far.
And the yellow car, Denny Hamlin, creeping into this picture.
Whoa.
Careful.
Out.
Nice job by Denny there to give Trevor Bayne the room that he kind of needed to not make that an incident.
Little pinch around Jeff Green, who's in that 14 car today for Eric LaFleur. .32, Kyle Larson, back to double duty this weekend. He's aboard Harry Scott's NASCAR Sprint Cup Series machine and trying to work his way toward the front here in the Nationwide Series car. The race back here in April gave Larson some troubles.
It was humbling. He had a few issues.
Aren't many places that have frustrated this young man this season in the NASCAR Nationwide Series, but that April 12th race here at Texas was one.
He just didn't make contact, but he did cut down or actually flat spotted his left front tire, and it blows out as he's trying to get back around to the pits under caution. And wow, look how close this was. Almost hitting that safety vehicle. And that's the way you properly use a hammer in the pits, right, Alan?
Not throwing it at somebody.
Yeah.
Our sly reference to the NASCAR Camping World race in Martinsville, where the hammer was thrown by a member of a race team and got him indefinitely suspended.
Yeah, NASCAR dropped the hammer on him.
Go! Under green at Texas Motor Speedway, today's NASCAR Nationwide Series race, caution-free so far. They've run more consecutive green flag laps in this race already today than they did in the entire 300-miler back here on April 12th, which was filled with a lot of yellow fever. Brad Keselowski's done most of the leading. Alex Bowman led 3 laps after starting on pole. Sam Hornish Jr. led 2. And it's been Keselowski out in front ever since. Change for second.
Yeah, I know everybody's shocked that Kyle Busch is coming forward.
Yeah.
As he was able to get around Sam Hornish. Kyle moved up. Talked about Hornish moving up against the wall. Kyle actually took that to another level. I started watching him. He's just a few feet further up than what Sam is, but he's making good time.
Yeah, well, that's one thing I like about Kyle. I mean, when the racetrack gets slick and the tires start giving up grip, he is one of those guys that can find it wherever it is, and he's going to work that steering wheel and just work the racetrack till he finds a faster groove.
So Kyle Busch up to second, Sam Hornish back to third, both trailing race leader Brad Keselowski, who's keeping an eye on who's trailing him.
Relative to that spot right there, they're a car width higher. They're 95%, so you know. Keep talking. Keep talking. Oh, we don't have a problem with talking. 34 to a 26. Both the 12 and the 54 are above the top seam, closer to the wall than the seam.
So Brad continuing to get those updates from Joey Meyer up on the spotter stand about where those guys trying to run him down are running in case they're making better time.
Well, he can keep him informed right now, but they're not catching him.
Coming up on the first window of green flag pit stops. In fact, I'm wondering if Jeremy Clements is out of fuel there, wiggling that 51 car around like that. Beginning to see the first few trickle in. Brad Sweet in the 5. TJ Bell in the 40. That 51 of Clements all coming in under the green. Jamie?
And Brad Sweet in the 5 making his way into his pit box, saying he's just a little bit free. They're going to go down on the track bar. 4 tires stop. Had some cancer removed from his bottom lip in the last 2 weeks, so he's been in quite some pain, but he's got that protected while behind the wheel. But overall, the car's been pretty decent for him today.
Little hiccup there on that left rear. Doc?
31 car in, and everybody, including Justin Allgaier, complaining early in the race that they are loose in, tight middle, loose on exit. You got to put 4 tires on here. They've been a full fuel stop, 2 cans of fuel. Allgaier getting an air pressure change. a little bit longer on the left side and held the fuel tank, held the fuel can there to try to get it full of Sunoco fuel.
And Ty Dillon is in, Doc.
1.5 rounds in the left rear, 4 tires and fuel for Ty Dillon, saying the car really free off the racetrack. Couldn't get the car to be able to turn. Mike.
Alex Bowman saying he's been tight throughout the course of the run, just about everywhere in the corner. Going to work on the right side, a 4-tire change expected on the 99. The handling just not what he wanted, which is why he fell back from the pole so far on that run, trying to correct it right here. Dave?
Good run so far for Matt Kenseth from 13th to 5th. He says, I'm a little loose everywhere, a little snug everywhere, just a little bit loose off of turn 4. He'll get a small adjustment for that and a filling of Sunoco fuel.
Kyle Busch coming to a stop. His car has been tight, especially in turns 3 and 4. As he tries to get to the throttle, it gets a little bit snappy loose on exit. They're going to make a 4-tire change on the 54 car, also a track bar adjustment, trying to give Kyle the feel that he likes here in Texas, in which he's been so successful with. Sam Hornish Jr., another driver who's looking for a little bit better feel, been tight. They make major adjustments there, track bar and air pressure. Jamie, let's go to you.
Brad Keselowski led 46 laps already today. You see the chassis adjustment there, saying he's a tick free, but the car overall is pretty reasonable. Remember, he's looking for his first win here at Texas in the Nationwide Series, and it's a good, clean stop for Brad Keselowski. Alan?
Austin Dillon stayed out to lead a lap, pick up that bonus point for the championship. Sam Hornish hit the commitment cone. Coming into pit road for his stop. He's about to come back in for a pass-through penalty.
We've talked for weeks about mistakes and not making mistakes, and we've seen this team, and in particular Sam, have some issues on pit road.
You see, there's the cone.
That's a problem.
Yep.
So a mistake there for Hornish will cost him here in just a minute, as Dillon is going to finally complete the cycle of pit stops here, with Hornish trailing him down the pit lane to serve that penalty.
At this point, Austin Dillon, the last thing he wants to do is also get a penalty, so he's going to be very conservative.
Mike?
And he made a very smooth entrance into his pit stall, coming to a stop right at his marks. The car's been a little bit loose. They're going to try to correct that with an air pressure adjustment. Also, 4 tires and fuel, trying to give him the feel he likes. Also, a little bit of a chassis adjustment. A hiccup as they try to leave their pit box, but he gets it fired, and he's away.
All right, so the cycle of pit stops is complete. The lead stays in the hands of Brad Keselowski, and Kyle Busch remains in second just behind him. Someone who has a hand in that story of 54 versus 22 for this Owners' Championship is going to join us next after a break when we come back to the Texas Motor Speedway. The coach, Coach Joe Gibbs, joins us live in the broadcast booth. His man, Kyle Busch, chasing down that race leader. Pacific on ABC. Man who knows a thing or two about football, along with a thing or two about this racing, joins us now. His driver, Kyle Busch, trying to help Coach Joe Gibbs win what would be a 5th Owners' Championship in the NASCAR Nationwide Series in the last 6 years. And that's the swing in the last 5 races now. The 54 team ahead of Roger Penske's 22 with just 3 races to go in the season. And live at Texas Motor Speedway, Alan Bestrick, champion driver Dale Jarrett, champion crew chief Andy Petrie, with champion team owner and champion coach Joe Gibbs. Thanks for the time. How are you?
Thanks, Alan. We absolutely love this series. Obviously, our sponsors do. Our program, we just keep growing. We love it. I think it's one of the greatest reality shows in the world. Think about it. We don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Okay, is it going to be a veteran guy? Is it going to be a rookie? Is it somebody on the last pit stop getting a great pit stop? The team does a job. Somebody breaks something. And so we love all this. Our sponsors obviously love it. And we got 4 cars today, and our program keeps growing, and we absolutely love the competition and all the fun things you get.
Yeah, Coach, how important, though, is it to win this owner's part of this championship in this series for you guys?
It's really a big deal for us, and particularly for our sponsors. You can imagine the great thing about this sport, which is different than other sports, you can't race here unless you got great sponsors. And so to see them come on board with you, and really it's their team in a lot of ways. All the people that work for them, their employees, for 3 hours or 2.5 hours on a weekend, they get to say, man, that's our car. And they enjoy it. We enjoy it. It's all the things we do B2B, working together. Everybody's shipping with FedEx. It's selling Coke in front of Home Depot. I mean, all those fun things. But it really is everybody kind of working together. So it's a huge team effort, and you get a chance to win a championship like this. And it's a big deal for us. We all get uptight. I don't understand why Roger just let his guys go home. I mean, we need this thing. We need this thing.
Well, you put together a pretty good group of drivers out there. Your 4 drivers you have in this nationwide race today have 110 wins in this series.
Yeah, it's great. You got Elliott, Kyle's out there, Matt, and then Denny filling in for Brian, which is great. And then our sponsors, when you look at it, you got One Mains out there, you got Dollar General, you got Monster, and then you got GameStop. We got Battlefield 4 coming on board. It is a great bunch of guys that we kind of develop a relationship with, and it's been fun. This guy's got guts, let me tell you that. A guy showed up on his doorstep 23 years ago that had never been in racing. Was coaching football, and me and Crazy Norm Miller from Interstate Battery said, come on, Dale, we want to go racing, and he had enough guts to say, let's do it.
Yeah, it worked out for you pretty good.
Yeah, I was in pretty good hands
for both
there.
of you.
Yes.
Yeah. Checking on the distance, first to second. There's Brad Keselowski, and there's the gap back to Kyle Busch. It's 4.3 seconds. It's about what it's been since they came off the round of pit stops a little bit ago. Risk reward, Coach, as we watch Kyle here drive today, he's in the hunt for this NASCAR Sprint Cup Series championship. That's a pretty big deal on Sundays, and there's some debate. Some team owners choose not to have their drivers run Saturday and Sunday. You do. How do you measure and compare the risk and reward?
Well, actually, if you had a vote, if I had a vote,
you'd say no.
I might vote on less races. But with a lot of our guys, and particularly with Kyle, Kyle just loves the race. That's his life. He's got Sam. He's got racing. He wants to race on Friday night, Saturday night, and I think he gets, obviously, a real thrill out of it. Our other guys, we kind of leave it up to them. Denny probably runs a little less. Matt runs a little less. But I think in Kyle's case, he loves it. I think it's probably good for him. He has his own race team, which is a huge deal. And so I think it depends on the driver, to be quite truthful with you. And we kind of work through those things, and we feel like what's best for them in most cases is best for us.
Joe, I think back to that 1991 year, whenever you came to me about that opportunity, we were going to start Joe Gibbs Racing, and our first year was 1992. Had one small building and not a lot of employees. And could you ever imagine that Joe Gibbs Racing would grow into what it is today?
Never, ever dreamed. If you think about it, that first year we had 17 total people. Think about the sport. You know, and I kind of felt like, okay, maybe we can control this. We got 17 people. We're going to race one car. And so we take off that year. Today, we have 450 people. We got 3 cars in Cup, 4 over here, and I tell everybody it's totally out of control. And then, of course, we got Coy with motocross. So one of my thrills today is I get to work with JD here, and JD's kind of running everything day to day there. I fill in wherever I can. Coy wanted to start motocross, and we got everybody working behind our motocross program.
Caution's out, debris in turn 2. You might have heard that come across the radio, the team radios there. So first yellow flag of this race, already past 100 miles. Didn't see that coming after the race we saw here in April.
No, there was nothing to tell us that they were going to be running this on. We see these cars slipping and sliding, but the driver's doing a fantastic job of holding on to them, but finally have this caution to bunch them up. I know there's a lot of drivers that are looking forward to working on their cars, too.
Yeah, they've only run about 20 laps since their last green flag stop when they changed tires. And, you know, I talked to some of the crew chiefs. They were saying that was going to be just about the threshold for them to be able to make a pit stop, although having that long run has helped a lot. So they've saved kind of a set of those tires by having that long run.
You see the pit crew guys getting ready to go to work there? That's what I love about this. It's team sport. Those guys are highly recruited, long-term contracts. We're looking all over the place trying to find athletes that can do that. and they're going to have a lot to say about what happens today. That's any driver will tell you that. Any crew chief will tell you that. We put a lot into our pit crew guys.
And it's obvious, Coach. We see your teams that do a very good job on pit road, and this one right here, especially the Kyle Busch team.
So first yellow flag of the race. Parker Kligerman in 12th place is the first car lap down.
Wow, yeah. Could be an opportunity for Sam Hornish, though, to take a wave around here and get back on the lead lap. Could be a big break for him.
We'll see if the 12 stays out on the racetrack, and we'll see what happens on the pit lane here as for the 12 to get the wave around, all the lead lap cars have to come in and pit.
That's the key.
First and second are in.
Looks like it's going to work out for him.
Yeah. One I see might have stayed out. We'll check on that. Dave?
Matt Henson gives up third. Long debate about what they would do. Matt said, I'm not really interested in a no tire stop, so they're going to take all 4 fresh ones.
And the 22 of Brad Keselowski speaking in code terms. I guess that means no tires on the radio. 5.8 seconds. They only put fuel in it, Mike.
And the 54 car, Kyle Busch, and the 3 of Austin Dillon, both fuel only, a wedge adjustment on the 54.
There's that thing we were talking about earlier. Might have to save a set of tires.
Like a team saving a set.
Back live onto the first caution of today's O'Reilly Auto Parts Challenge, Texas Motor Speedway. The race lead has changed hands on the pit lane, and a pile of cars are about to take a wave around here to get back on the lead lap. How are we going to know if she says yes?
Huh. Good question. For Steve's sake, I hope so.
Somewhere out there. Is it her?
Maybe.
Doesn't look like it. Is it her?
One of those. Not unless one of those is Steve.
All right. So getting ready to go back racing after an interesting strategy shuffle there on that round of pit stops. A few, I have 4 teams just taking fuel only there and no tires. Brad Keselowski, Kyle Busch, Austin Dillon, and Trevor Bayne, and everybody else getting tires. And the difference in speed on fresh tires, old tires, and that kind of thing could make this really curious.
Be quite interesting here to see how this all plays out. I like the idea of having tires on my car. Now, if it gets down to the end of the race and I don't have a set and the others do, then I'm not going to be too happy.
Yeah.
Wave arounds to get back on the lead lap include Sam Hornish, who'll be out there on older tires, but is at the back of the pack. Alex Bowman, Brad Sweet, Ricky Stenhouse, Justin Allgaier, Michael Annette, Nelson Piquet, Jeremy Clement, and Mike Bliss. Wave arounds to the lead lap. Have I got it all, Coach?
Dale's talking about having a driver happy. I've never heard him happy.
First move, Regan Smith in the 7.
I'll tell you what, you have those tires that you've got 15 to 20 laps on, and they've heated up, cooled down, and then you put a full load of fuel on there. These cars can be a handful for a little bit.
Through to 3rd place in that bright yellow number 20. 4 tires on the pit stop.
Denny filling in for Brian. I got to tell you, we everything in the world, it seems like this year, it happens on our race team. If it's negative, it happened to Denny. So we're happy to see him back up front here at Nationwide. We've been running better the last 3 or 4 weeks. We need to get a win here for him in Cup. And it's a big deal for us. FedEx is a huge sponsor. Denny been so good every year, and it seems like it's just one of these years. It's crazy. It shows you how hard our sport is, because last year, that was Kyle Busch. Mm-hmm. Everything that could go wrong went wrong last year. And now it kind of switched around for us. But I think what it does is emphasize what a tough sport this is and how much it takes to be up front.
That strategy called by Austin Dillon's team to get fuel only. He's the one that got shoved around on the outside and really lost a lot of ground on the restart. And Dillon all the way back now to 13th place. Hornish taking the wave around and passing him.
Yeah, they're on similar tires right now, but the one thing that Sam Hornish has is lighter fuel load. By taking that wave around, he was not able to come to pit road and get filled back up. So he'll have to pit a little sooner if this race goes green.
Coach talked about Denny Hamlin. Denny was saying the other day how you know what kind of year it's been when Brian Vickers was filling in for me while I was injured here in April, and we come back to Texas and I'm filling in with him while he's got to be out of the race car.
Yeah, it was interesting for me. It shows you how safe our cars are. And Cup, and Dale can probably tell you this, I think you cracked the wrist or something when you're driving for us, but we had never had a driver in 21 years who was a Cup race. And Denny was the first person that happened to. So I'm thrilled with our sport and that we put so much work and safety into our cars, and I think it's really showed up, and it obviously makes all the owners feel a lot better.
Yeah, especially in their large investment they put in these drivers.
Yeah.
Whoa, hang on to that one, Brad. Keselowski's car jumping around on him a little bit there while he gave up the lead to Hamlin, and Brian Scott was under him for second.
Yeah, now we're 3 wide down the back straightaway as Joe's one of the other drivers there, Matt Kenseth, trying to make his way to the front with those tires.
Did you really just call Matt Kenseth Joe's other driver?
One of his other drivers. Yeah, he's just another one. Gosh, look at how many he's got over there.
Now, the only time I really get nervous is if 2 of our guys get up front together. Then I'm going to be nervous.
So Brad Keselowski from the lead back to 4th place on the older tires, and a pretty fine day so far. All his cars in the top 8 for Joe Gibbs Racing. And Coach with us here for a little bit on our telecast today. Matt Kenseth racing for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Championship on Sunday. He and Jimmy Johnson. It looks like it's going to be one of those knockdown, drag-out things. But what's fun for us is they're racing for race wins while they race for this championship. What's impressed you most about Matt as he's joined your stable?
I think no one could imagine the kind of year he's had. First of all, you got a crew chief, Jason. They've got to get together, the chemistry. And I think the way the whole thing has taken off is just a real tribute to Matt and the kind of guy he is. We really appreciate him over there. And what's really good now, we have Matt, Denny, and Kyle. When they're in those meetings on Monday morning and they're sharing things, they all get along great, trying to help each other. And we got all 3 crew chiefs are really together, kind of the same age. They kind of talk the same language, and they're all willing to sacrifice for each other. So it's been great for us, and obviously great for Matt. And today it's Dollar General, and you know, tomorrow in the Cup Series, it's going to be one of those things where I'm going to be holding my breath. I'm going to be down there going up and down, ready to throw up at any minute.
Even after all these years.
After all these years. I think that's the thrill of it, you know, when you think about it. And one of the hardest things in the world, and you get a chance to come here in front of a great crowd, fan base. Our fan base is what kind of makes all this obviously possible for us. And to be here and be a part of this, the thrill, I get excited about it each and every weekend. You get up and it's a fun deal. I'm probably one of the luckiest guys in the world to get to experience 2 pro sports and have 2 kids working in racing with you. JD and Coy, our whole family is kind of growing up in the sport. The other day I was driving down the street with my one grandson. He's in the back seat. And he'd been down with all the other grandsons and my one granddaughter. There's 8 of us. And we're on the way back from getting coffee. All of a sudden he said to me, he goes, "Coach." I went, "What, Jet?" He goes, "How come you didn't have kids?" I said, "Jet, I did.
They're just not kids anymore."
Your dad, Coy, and I had Uncle JD, and he goes, "Oh, he didn't get that."
Well, right now, 2 of Coach Gibbs' cars are racing for the lead. Denny Hamlin, Matt Kenseth, 20 and 18. Hey, Coach, thanks for the time. Really appreciate it. And we're fascinated to watch this Owners' Championship and the Nationwide Series, and, of course, the great fight on the NASCAR Sprint Cup side as well. Best of luck.
Hey, thanks, guys, for having me.
Yeah, thanks, Coach.
Coach Joe Gibbs watching 2 of his 4 entries in today's race run 1st and 2nd. Denny Hamlin, 20, Matt Kenseth, 18, racing for the lead. Elliott Sadler is running 6th. Kyle Busch is running 9th. A pretty good day. Well, Denny able to hang on for now. as we close in on halfway today at Texas Motor Speedway.
The big teams on a power play here in Texas. You know, in Texas, they like them big. Racing this afternoon at Texas Motor Speedway, not just the Drivers' Championship on the line, but the Owners' Championship as well. So far, just one caution for 4 laps, and it's Denny Hamlin out front at Texas Motor Speedway, battling with his teammate, Matt Kenseth, 2 Sprint Cup Series stars, out front as we speak. Welcome inside the Quicken Loans ESPN pit studio. Those 2 drivers obviously not competing for the championship today. They are, however, competing for the Owners' Championship on behalf of Joe Gibbs Racing.
Yeah, they really are.
One
They're
of the
driving
things
hard.
to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. Big thing, the Drivers' Championship, just like Joe Gibbs just said when he was with the guys in the booth. But I tell you what, I'm feeling pretty good for Denny Hamlin right now, guys. I mean, with all the bad luck Denny's had this year, to be up front, leading anything, having a good run like he's doing, you got to feel for him.
Yeah, he's doing a great job, and it's good to see Denny have some positive mojo going in his direction for once. Hey, absolutely. Matt Kenseth, maybe he's learning some pertinent information that he can utilize tomorrow. What about Brian Scott and Kyle Larson, though? Both of those guys in the top 4 running very, very well, as well as Ty Dillon.
Particularly Kyle Larson, who did struggle here when we were here in April.
Yeah, he definitely did. You know, he's learned an awful lot this season, and he's on really quick. But, you know, we're talking about some other guys, but our championship guys have had some trouble already.
Yeah.
We saw the 12 car have trouble on pit road at Dover that cost him points. Same thing today. Pit road speeding. Came back. He got back out, saved by that caution on lap 71 for debris. But a big break for Sam Hornish there because it did not look good for him.
Yeah, it did.
Good battle out there for the lead.
But these guys, these Joe Gibbs cars are just outstanding in this nationwide series, as we've seen the entire year long. And both these guys are really, really strong. They're going to be very difficult to beat.
There is that question of risk versus reward as we watch on board from that 18 car and Matt Kenseth. Obviously, a win in the nationwide series would be nice, but a win in the Sprint Cup Series championship, which is what he's fighting for on the other side of things, would be probably much better. There he goes, takes the lead.
Well, you know, he does take lead right there. But, you know, back to your what you just talked about, Nicole. I mean, I'm with you. I'm one of the guys that does not like to see these Cup guys who are in the chase, that are in the chase for the championship, competing in the nationwide series. I think it is a risk. I don't think there's much reward whatsoever for them. But you know what? Just like Coach Gibbs said a little while ago, these drivers love doing this. You can't tell them not to. They might get mad if you tell them that. But in my opinion, I just couldn't be doing this. I could not take that risk knowing that that Cup team is there with all those people supporting me and going for this championship.
But you can learn something.
Oh, you absolutely can learn something. You know, I agree that the championship is a big thing. And while these guys are out, there's a crew chief walking around behind pit road checking tires. We talked about tires could be an issue. Chad Knaus was back there as the tires were coming off those nationwide cars. He was checking the wear, going to different pit boxes, seeing what he's got to do for tomorrow. There is something to be learned. And, you know, Chad does not want his driver out there doing it on race day, so he goes and gets the information himself.
Alan?
All right, Nicole, thanks. So Matt Kenseth now out in front, and the tire story really beginning to show itself from the round of caution flag pit stops we had at lap 72. Kenseth, who got 4 tires, racing up to the lead, while Brad Keselowski, who was the race leader and took fuel only, now finds himself back in 8th place.
He's hanging on those tires, but he's losing ground about a half a second a lap to the guys up front that have tires.
20 cars on the lead lap. Sam Hornish is in 10th. Austin Dillon is in 12th. And Sam is going to have to appear on pit road here pretty soon because he did not stop under the caution when he took the wave around to get back on the lead lap. NASCAR.com/RaceBuddy has enhanced coverage today from Texas Motor Speedway with 10HD live race views, live chat, and live leaderboard. NASCAR.com/RaceBuddy. Championship contender Hornish due on pit road shortly. We'll be back for it. Next Saturday, we're on to Phoenix International Raceway. The NASCAR Nationwide Series race, ESPN 2 at 3:30 Eastern. This championship fight between Sam Hornish and Austin Dillon. Gonna go right on down to the final race in Homestead, and we'll see how Saturday's race in Phoenix plays out next weekend. Green flag stop, Dave.
Ricky Stenhouse had last pitted on lap 50. He had a corded right front that time. The right front coming off this time is in good shape. Of course, he had to come in for fuel. His car was also on a scale of 10-10 tight, so they made a big adjustment for that.
Dave, thanks. One of the cars that took the wave around and so did not come to pit road for fuel in that last caution, and Sam Hornish will be one of those in that wave of pit stops also. He'll be coming in here momentarily. Hornish trying to take the 8th spot away from his teammate Brad Keselowski.
That's pretty impressive, too, because Brad was the leader. He took fuel only, and the 12th car had to start at the tail end of the field, so he's driving up through there pretty well.
Yeah, his car's really been fast. Just going to be a matter, is all of this going to work out for him after he makes his stop? Is that green flag run going to continue?
Got about 30 on fuel. 30? I was really hoping you were going to say like 10. Buckle down, man. You're doing the deal right here.
Brad Keselowski.
Oh.
Mike?
Yeah, Alex Bowman on pit road as well. He's been tight center, a little bit free off. He needs to be a little bit better on the bottom of the racetrack. They'll make an air pressure adjustment and a 4-tire change in the 99.
Bowman started on pole today, but is now going to find himself a lap down to race leader Matt Kenseth. Kenseth, one of 6 different drivers that have traded the lead today. Brad Keselowski's led by far more than anyone, but this tire cycle has got him behind now. Since the tire strategy play at lap 72, Denny Hamlin led for 14 laps, and then Kenseth has been out in front since. Justin Allgaier, another one of the wave around group, Doc.
Justin complaining the car just continues to remain very, very tight, mostly tight in the middle. He got the wave around to get back on the lead lap, tried to milk as much fuel as he could get out of it, had to come in and pit now 4 tires and just under 14 seconds.
And while we watch Matt Kenseth, championship contender Sam Hornish trying to come to pit road, but somebody's crashed behind him. It's Kyle Busch.
Okay, get on the pit lane. Backed it in the wall. It's shortened the back up pretty good.
Thought I heard an explosion. I don't know if he blew the tire before he hit the wall, but I heard something right before that. See that right, looks like the right rear tire is flat. Kind of tearing the quarter panel up.
And all that stuff.
Back that grill, too.
Leading the Owners' Championship, starting the day, Kyle did not take tires on that last round of stops at lap 72. He was running in 10th position. And what a sudden turn of events in this one here at Texas. Certainly the pre-race favorite, or one of them.
Yeah, the fact they took tires, I mean, they took gas and did not take tires. He had about 50 laps on that set. We heard somebody say they had seen cords at about 50 laps on the right front. I don't know if that was an issue here with Kyle or not, but it very well could have been.
I think I saw Sam Hornish coming down pit road, but I believe he went on through and stayed on the lead lap here.
Yeah, that's what I was starting to talk about when Kyle crashed, was how Sam was coming in and how he got behind. And
you can actually see on the bottom there that Sam's coming in, and Kyle, it's hard to tell if that.
Yeah, it looks like he just lost
it. Yeah.
Then maybe blew the tire out as he was sliding. Still, he was on tires that really were worn out, and he was probably chasing that car. I believe that's where the tire exploded.
I don't know. No,
Lock her down. Lock her down.
Sounded a lot like something was going on there.
Yeah, I could hear something.
The right rear tire blew out.
Tire did blow out.
There we go. Pit stops, Doc.
It'll be 4 tires for Denny Hamlin. Make a chassis adjustment a little bit free on entry. Going to get it full of Sunoco fuel. Dave.
Matt Kenseth was also free. Track bar adjustment, 4 tires, Sunoco fuel. Mike?
Austin Dillon complaining by using 3 words, all the same one: loose, loose, loose. They're going to make an air pressure adjustment here, 4 tires and fuel, and they'll leave it on the jack to make sure they get as much fuel in as possible. Meanwhile, the 12 on pit road, Sam Hornish saying he needs a little bit more help on exit. Way too free there. They'll make a track bar adjustment, dropping it, also an air pressure adjustment, and 4 tires for the 12.
So the caution flag, a good break for Hornish because he hadn't made the green flag pit stop yet, and the wave around works out for him. Sam was good with NASCAR and drove through the pits, came back around, stayed on the lead lap, and now he's back in the cycle of things. But the caution, a bad break for Kyle Busch, one of those racing for the Nationwide Series Owners Championship. And trouble in turn 4 has left the 54 car pretty heavily damaged and being repaired on the pit road. The NASCAR Nationwide Series O'Reilly Auto Parts Challenge from Texas Motor Speedway under caution for just the second time. Reminder to go to NASCAR.com for all your latest NASCAR information. It would tell you that the second caution of this race came out for Kyle Busch, crashing in turn number 4 after a stay on pit road to repair the 54 car. He went out, made a lap, now is back in again. And look at that, trying to craft a whole new right rear fender on that Toyota.
They're doing a pretty good job fixing that damage from that contact he made with the wall.
Now, something that's gotten a lot of attention down on the pit lane as we tie this in with what might have just caused Kyle Busch's crash are tires that look like that. And champion crew chief Ray Evernham down in the Quicken Loans ESPN pit studio has been watching a lot of parade of tire watchers in front of him today, Ray.
Yeah, that's right, Alan. We've seen some tires go through that actually have still had air, but they've started to unwind a little bit and take the tread off, and the guys are losing traction. That's something we saw a little bit in the Cup garage. I know it's a concern over there, and we're starting to see it today. The tire isn't actually blowing out, but the tread is reducing. It's coming unwound almost like a spool of thread, and the guys are losing traction.
Yeah, Ray, I'm just looking at that tire that we saw. It looked like it still had some rubber on it, and obviously the air was in the tire, but some of that carcass was unwinding, like you said, and that's been kind of a strange thing. I don't know if I've ever seen one fail quite like that.
Well, something certainly that has all these teams' attention now, and certainly all the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series teams for tomorrow. They're going to run on this same tire tomorrow. We'll follow this story a little more as we get ready for the restart in Texas. So as we are just across the midway point of today's race and doubled up for the restart, tires are becoming the topic of conversation.
How many of them got 2 sets left behind us there in our lap? Looks like 6 or 7. How many laps did we put on that last set? Last set had 40. Previous set had 21.
Remember, in the NASCAR Nationwide Series, as a cost-saving measure, teams are limited to the numbers of sets of tires they can change during a race.
Yeah, Matt's only got one more set in the pits with 85 laps to go.
Denny Hamlin was the leader off pit road in the yellow 20. With a push from Brian Scott in the 2, he gets away from Matt Kenseth.
Yeah, Brian Scott having an outstanding day here today.
Kyle Larson, that blue and white 32, he's digging hard today too.
Yeah, we saw him a few weeks ago have an outstanding run. Looked like he might be in line to get that first win. That didn't happen back at Charlotte.
And all the guys up front now are going to have some luck to be able to turn this around in their favor. And it'll be green flag racing because they only have, like I said, that one set left. Brad Keselowski and a lot of the other guys that just took fuel on that one caution flag stop, they're going to have an extra set. See Ty Dillon in the mix there too, in the 33.
Yeah, Ty winner here last night in the truck race, but running very, very well in this race here today. Seems like every time we see him get the opportunity to run these nationwide races, he's doing a really good job.
Very solid.
Let's talk to Mike Dillon, his dad. Just a little bit earlier, and he was talking about after the first run of practice that Ty walked up to Austin and he goes, "Quicker than you, bud." I just thought that was funny. How these brothers are very competitive with each other.
Big run there. He may get 2 for 1.
33 Dillon, 32 Larson, a couple of 21-year-olds.
Yeah, very talented 21-year-olds too. As Nationwide Series and the Cup Series has a lot of young stars. Larson will be moving on.
Like you were saying last night, a very impressive run by Ty Dillon, and the way he handled himself afterward, getting that 100th victory for the number 3 in the 3 major series. Was very humbling about that, but what an impressive performance.
Kind of holding my breath here for a little bit, trying to let some of this sort out, because the action was a little dicey there, those first few laps on the restart. So Hamlin and Kenseth have pulled away from this race for third. Story of the race so far, a couple of major ones. 22 there, Brad Keselowski was dominating this race out in front. A caution, the first one of the race, came out not long after the leaders made a green flag pit stop. Keselowski's team went for fuel only. It shuffled him back into traffic with other drivers that took fresh tires, and he's been trying to dig that back ever since. Advantage to him, a couple of quick cautions in the race. He'll have a set of tires to change that some of the other guys won't. And the other major story in the race, championship contender Sam Hornish, who hit the commitment cone on a green flag pit stop at lap 50, got a lap down with a pass-through penalty. His team took a wave around to get back on the lead lap at lap 72. The caution fell at lap 109 just as Sam was slowing to have to come to pit road for fuel. It cycled him back around onto the lead lap. Now Hornish runs 8th, Dillon runs 10th, and as they run, 6 points between Dillon and Hornish, respectively, in the championship. That's sort of the halfway summary here. Let's see. Major story number 3, Kyle Busch. After hitting the wall, Kyle is back.
Like 3 laps down in 28.
That's, I'm trying to find
I had to look a long way down to find it.
Yeah, you don't expect to see that 54 number back there many times. But he did have that issue. Cut a tire down, got him into the wall. They've made a lot of repairs. He's out running still, but certainly the 22 car and Brad Keselowski in that car this weekend, big opportunity for them to retake the lead, which they're going to do, and extend that lead by quite a bit.
In this Owners' Championship. Now, big story number 4, this conversation about tires and what we've just seen on the pit lane, and Ray was talking about just a little bit ago. For more on that, we go down to Dave Burns.
Well, Alan, of course, Goodyear monitors everything they see and hear down here, so let's check in with Stu Grant right now. Stu, how is Goodyear interpreting what you're seeing with these couple of problems on pit road today?
Well, we're seeing exactly what we would expect to see. Texas is it's a high-wear racetrack. We're running the same tire combination this weekend that we ran in the spring race, and we're seeing exactly what we would expect to see. It's we're seeing some high wear on some of the cars, but we're seeing a lot of good wear on a lot of the other cars, and wear is improving as the race goes on.
So any recommendations for all the Sprint Cup crew chiefs who are coming down and checking it out?
Just monitor the handling of your car. Make sure you have a well-balanced car. And there's a lot of Sprint Cup crew chiefs and tire guys on pit road today.
Good. Thanks for your time. Let's go up to Mike Massaro.
Well, Dave, several of the crew chiefs have been down here to examine the shredded right rear. The one perhaps taking most notice, Jason Ratcliffe. Of course, he's the crew chief for Matt Kenseth in the Cup Series, and with the championship weighing in the balance over the next 3 races, he doesn't want to take any chances. He's already been bitten by this tire during testing when a tire failed and Matt crashed. Well, he's been extremely thorough in looking over the tire, talking with the Goodyear engineers, and also getting together with the Joe Gibbs Racing tire specialist to find out what the settings were, air pressure, camber, things of that nature, to make sure that he learns as much as he possibly can so as to possibly avoid the same mistake tomorrow when the stakes are a bit higher. Alan?
Yeah, one of the things that Goodyear does is they try to engineer these tires to go a fuel stop with some margin. Okay, well, what's happening today, we saw Kyle Busch got fuel, left the tires on there, so he had run those past a normal fuel run. We're not going to really see that tomorrow in the Cup race. Anytime they come in needing fuel, they're going to put tires on the car. Today they have that limited amount, so they're trying to manage it, and it kind of bit a couple of them.
Yeah, and as Stu Grant talked about right there, this is a high-wear place, a lot like Atlanta, and the setups have evolved that probably are creating some of these issues with these tires too, but Goodyear does a great job with this.
Same tire they ran here in the spring race weekend without incident or problem, but as things evolve, teams are going to push the edge as far as they can, and maybe some are going to push over the edge. That's never happened before in racing.
Yeah. See our championship contenders here battling for a spot.
8th place. We've seen a couple of races in this last 10 of the season or so in the Nationwide Series where Hornish has run into problems. Had a pit road penalty. What was that, at Dover? That cost him some spots. Wound up finishing in 17th in that one. Some difficulties that have cost him ground in the championship, as Denny Hamlin with a little bump draft on his teammate for the lead on the right side of the screen. Now here today, the problem happened again, but it happened early, and they've rallied back from it so far. Yeah. Talking about Sam.
Yeah, I'm not sure how many times you can keep doing that, though, and come out with it. Sam's had a couple of good breaks here and made that. Got a good race car, but you can't keep making those mistakes and put yourself in a chance to win this championship.
So Matt Kenseth by Denny Hamlin for the race lead. Brad Keselowski has clawed his way up to third, and there are your championship duo running 8th and 9th. I know where I'm going to be tonight.
Yeah, I know you'd be excited about that.
Should be a good one. Matt Kenseth out in front as we're just across the 200-mile mark of today's O'Reilly Auto Parts Challenge, Texas Motor Speedway. Third to last race of the season for the NASCAR Nationwide Series. On to Phoenix next Saturday and Homestead, Miami to wrap up the season the week after that. Let's go up to speed with Nationwide Insurance and check in on these lead lap cars. Dave has the race leader for us.
Thankfully for Matt, no reported tire issues or any seen by the crew as they came off the car. He's got one set remaining to put on some way halfway between this last run. They'll hopefully put it on a car that is perfect because that's the way it started this run. It's a little bit looser as he goes. Doc?
Earlier, our guest, Joe Gibbs, delineated all the misery that the driver of that 20 cars endured this year. Denny Hamlin, compression fractures in his lower back. He missed the April Texas Racing Sprint Cup. Has not been in a Nationwide car since this race a year ago. Gets in the sub for Brian Vickers, and maybe finally something good is going to happen to Denny Hamlin. Good race car, one set of tires, and one pit stop left. Jamie.
And Brad Keselowski led 73 laps today. That's the most laps led in a single race this year for Brad. His tires, too, have been looking pretty decent. And after that last stop, he's saying the car is the best it's been all day. The balance is good. They had gone up a little bit on the track bar. And right now, working his way forward, he's already gained 4 positions. Doc?
At the top of our telecast, Dale Jarrett talked about how Brian Scott had matured as a driver. It's showing today. He is 0 for 139. He knows that this could be the year. Maybe today is the day he gets his first victory. He handled a loose race car early. Right now he's dealing with a car that's a little bit tight in the middle. Back behind him in 5th spot, how about this phenomenal 21-year-old rookie, Kyle Larson. Larson had a terrible race here in the spring. When he spun the car, flat spotted him, they changed 2 tires, and it went downhill from there. Right now the car a little bit tight, but Larson said very calmly, hey, I bounced it off the wall, but I'm okay. I'll be good. Back behind him is the 11 car. And that is Elliott Sadler, the veteran Sprint Cup driver who's doing double duty. He won a pole in a cup race here at Texas. He's looking to be able to get the car back to victory lane. The car been a little bit free on exit, but getting better. Alan?
All right, Doc, second place. Denny Hamlin about to give it up to a flying Brad Keselowski.
Yeah, this 22 car is the class of the field here today, and it was only those circumstances that put him behind for a little while, but not sure that even both the Joe Gibbs cars there up front are going to be able to hold him off.
Yeah, back on equal ground tire-wise, yeah. It does look like this 22 has an advantage.
Although even having the best handling car, you could see him having to fight off of turn 4 right there.
Listen to these numbers. In 6 of his last 7 starts in this car, Brad Keselowski has finished 1st or 2nd. 5 of those are wins.
Wow. That's impressive. And this team's just done that, not just with Brad. Every driver they've had in it's won this year. Been a very impressive race team.
And of course, Jeremy Bullins and this group have won 11 times with 4 different drivers this season. So when you talk about the Owners' Championship, and I know you like to call it, and I agree with you, the Team Championship, they really have put on a performance this season, this team.
Yeah, they have. When you talk about, like I say, winning with 4 different drivers, you can't say enough about what Jeremy Bullins is doing with this team. And it is, like you said, a team effort because they have those different drivers in it week to week. They can't go for that Drivers' Championship, which we consider the main championship. But this is a way that they can gauge their season, and winning it is very important to them. We heard Joe Gibbs talk about how important it is to his team to win it.
Yeah, and I know we all have opinions about it, and Rusty was talking, and Brad and everyone, about these drivers running on Saturday. Now, these two in particular right here, Denny and Brad aren't a part of the chase this year, but they have run races in the past when they were battling for championships. The guy leading the race here, Matt Kenseth, is doing that. I think that it's okay. I look at it as, yeah, there's always going to be some risk there, but there's risk pulling out your driveway every day. And I know that may be minimizing things a little bit because they're running at such high speeds here, but I think that if you have a happy race driver that getting to do what he enjoys doing, then that can make a difference to him on Sundays too. And I think that it far outweighs that. It is more beneficial, and it keeps him inside and part of the race team.
Yeah, I'd rather have him out here running races than sitting in the motorhome worrying himself to death.
Yeah.
So Keselowski was trying to get second away from Denny Hamlin. He wasn't able to get that done. Now Denny Hamlin is going up to try and get the lead for Matt Kenseth in some lap traffic. Hang on a second.
Yeah, it looked like Matt's lost the handle of this car a little bit. Really loose into the corner somewhat. Seems like every time Brad gets a really good run, there's a lap car there and impeding his progress. Not quite a battle shaping up right here, though.
I think Matt kind of righted the ship when he lost a little bit of ground right there.
That's what makes Matt so good is adjusting to that. You know, if it's his car gets loose somewhere or starts going away a little bit, then he figures out another way to keep the speed there. It may have to change his driving style a little bit in the way he's attacking it right now, but it usually works out. He's so good at that.
Keselowski by Hamlin for second, now after Kenseth for the race lead. About to hit three-quarter distance here at Texas. Another round of pit stops or more. How will this all play out? 47 laps to go. Texas Motor Speedway. There is the race for the lead. Matt Kenseth, 18, holding off Brad Keselowski, 22. And now a little gap between these two and third place Denny Hamlin. Not far away from another round of pit stops. Inside of 50 laps to go. They can make it from here to the finish on fuel, and everybody walking that fine line because for some of these drivers, when they come down the pit lane, they're going to take on the last set of tires they can change in this race.
Yeah, they're hoping that even if we have a caution now or sometime before they change that last set of tires, but after that, they're going to hope it goes green because they're not going to have any tires left.
Championship story, Sam Hornish running there in the 12 car in 5th place. Austin Dillon running in 8th place. Sam coming back from a lap down after hitting the commitment cone, coming to the pit lane earlier.
Yeah, if he can keep this distance somewhere in front of that 3 car today, this would be a huge win in that way for Sam Hornish with the things that he's been able to overcome, dodging some bullets, and make a positive day out of this.
Is he going to get him here? Oh, yeah. Look at that 18 bobble there.
Yeah, you can see he got that left front in that seam right there, and that would actually turn the car if it gets the right way there. Matt had to get out of the throttle, and easy pass for Brad. It's easy for me to say. Brad probably thought it was tough, but seemed rather easy.
So Keselowski back out in front for the first time in a long time. He basically led most of the first 75 laps of this race. Shuffled back by taking no tires on a pit stop at lap 72. As far back in the field as 8th, and now getting back to the front for the very first time. Jamie?
Well, in 13 starts this year, Brad Keselowski has won 5 of them. And I talked to Jeremy Bullins, his crew chief, about that. And I said, what sets Brad apart? And he said, he's a student of this sport. He focuses, he watches back races. He knows how to set up a car for the end of the race when it counts. He said, I worked with one other driver in my career that did that, and that was our own Dale Jarrett. Dave Burns?
As for the now second place, Matt Kenseth, he started off that run, as we reported earlier, perfect, but the car has gone, quote, super loose in and off, and, quote, I feel like I burned off the right rear. Remember what befell his teammate Kyle Busch? It was an abuse of that right rear that sent his car around. Matt's trying to baby it to the final stop today.
And Dave, watch the handful of steering wheel Kenseth had when he was being passed by Keselowski for the lead there a couple laps ago.
We saw this from outside of the car.
On the bottom.
Oh. That's not a good feeling as a driver. You don't want to be turning right in that part of the corner, I'll assure you.
20.
Nice save by Matt right there.
With the understanding that Dave was just reporting on with the tire problem that his teammate had and so on, and you've been running out here a long time now, long green flag runs. The driver get kind of edgy behind the wheel in these late laps?
Yeah, there's no doubt. You start feeling things, and when you have a car like that that starts sliding around and losing it, you start getting concerned, are you going to get to that point? And yeah, so it's a little uneasy feeling. You're hoping that you can get to that pit stop, and it happens sooner rather than later.
Leaders were last in at lap 111. Around 50 laps means 161 here shortly.
Yeah, we're right there at the edge of their fuel window, and the tires, as we've seen, have been definitely an issue right around that time.
Beginning to see a few cars that are not on the lead lap trickle onto the pit lane. Matt Kenseth racing for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series Championship, tied in points with Jimmie Johnson, and of course Matt owning the tiebreaker, 7 wins to Jimmy's 5. Jimmie qualified 3rd for tomorrow's 500-miler, Matt 6th. What a slugfest this is going to be between those two drivers, and maybe Jeff Gordon or one of the others can creep back into it, make it a 3- or 4-way fight over these last couple of weeks after we get through here.
Yeah, it's going to be a long 500 miles they've got to deal with tomorrow. Changing track conditions because they'll be going into the night. A lot of things that they could have to deal with, but it's going to be a great battle. Dave?
Trevor Bayne gives up 11th position for his final pit stop. Looks like just an air pressure. Oh, there goes a chassis adjustment on the left side there. Car's still a little bit loose for Trevor as he goes on. Mike?
And Alex Bowman's crew chief Chris Rice had some suspicion that something might be wrong with the car. After practice, he said something just was not right, and that has been the case throughout the day. Struggling with the handling, 4 tires and change, but he's still 18th on the grid. Doc?
And here's Justin Allgaier for what should be his final stop of the day. Allgaier complaining the car's been very, very snug, particularly tight in the middle. They will get 4 tires, their final set of tires, make a chassis adjustment right rear. They should be good on field, but they're going to make sure they get it nice and full. Dave?
More big adjustments for Ricky Stenhouse Jr., who is running in the 16th position when he pitted here, and they'll try to fix a car that continues to be loose into the corner. That was his main complaint.
Race leader Brad Keselowski staying out for another lap. As to second place,
There will be a Joker and a Miller Lite.
Matt Kenseth, and third place Denny Hamlin. And here's Ty Dillon in, Doc.
Ty Dillon said the car actually started tighter than it's been all day, and then it got looser than it's been all day. A huge chassis swing on the previous stop. Little air pressure change, 4 tires for Ty, making and a chassis adjustment left rear. First ever nationwide start here, doing a heck of a job.
Kyle Larson heading in from the lead lap, 32 car. And right back down to Doc.
Yeah, Kyle's been complaining that the splitter had been bouncing on the racetrack some, and that the car was tight. The splitter would hit, the car would be tight, and then it wouldn't turn. They made an air pressure change last time and a track bar change. This time, no adjustment will slide air pressure. Left side tires on 4 tires, he's away.
Austin Dillon, Brian Scott changing 5th position. Scott fading back a couple of spots. Sam Hornish also got around the 2. So now Hornish is 4th. Dillon is 5th. As we come up on their green flag pit stops. Parker Kligerman's in, Dave.
He is, AB, and it hasn't been a bad run for him this time through. Really nothing said on the radio. He gives up 10th position, so that's the best he's run most of this afternoon. No adjustments visible on this car right now. 4 tires, fuel, and gone.
Still waiting for the top 9 drivers in the race to pit, including the leader, Brad Keselowski.
Obviously, we've got to stop here again. I'm not going to tell you until the lap of. Yes, sir.
Not wanting to give away his strategy when he's coming down pit road. He said he'd tell him the lap he's pitting.
I'm really surprised to see them staying out here, taking a chance, knowing that there's been some tire issues that could crop up at any time, that they wouldn't go ahead and get on pit road.
And I'm just curious, why? Why not tell your driver till the lap he's going to pit?
Well, you give away your strategy if you do that. You tell them if you're going to pit in 5, then everybody else will say, okay, let's try to pit now. We'll maybe get 5 laps on them, or wait till they make their stop. Doc 11 car's in.
Yeah, Elliott said the car's gotten a little bit tight right now, but he said the car was perfect on the first 20 laps. So he said, let's not make any changes at all. We only got 30 laps to go. So it'll be 4 tires and fuel for Elliott. Jamie.
Regan Smith, after the last stop, they found some gear oil on the inside of the left rear. They've been keeping an eye on that. He's saying he's the tightest he's been all day. 4 tire stop, and they filled him up with Sunoco fuel. Mike?
The track bar and change their air pressures once more. 4 tire change on the 12. Meanwhile, the guy he's battling for the championship, Austin Dillon, he's been struggling trying to find speed, been changing his line throughout the course of that last run. Finally found some speed before getting tight. A 4 tire change on the 3, Jamie.
Brad Keselowski been very happy with this car. That run balanced well. He said, I'll take a Joker and a Miller Lite as the code words continue. So obviously one of those words means 4 tires, and they'll fill them up with fuel. Dave?
Leader pitted it, so they called Matt Kenseth in. Long stop, it looks like. Now he's gone. 4 tire stop and a track bar adjustment. Could stand to be tighter at the beginning. Remember, over that run, he was very, very loose in and off the corners. He follows Brad Keselowski out. Race is on, AB.
Denny Hamlin first off the pit lane, trouble left rear for the 18, and you saw the jack on the left side of the 22.
Yeah, both of them having problems. So the 20 car of Denny Hamlin, he was almost 2 seconds behind. He actually made up some ground there.
Yeah, he made up a lot coming into pit road, too. He got close to their bumpers there. Did a nice job.
Trouble backstretch. Joe Nemechek. Caution.
That's us, yeah, 6 just dumped us.
Yellow flag out, 30 laps to go. And you heard the radio there, feeling like they got dumped by somebody. Joe is in 28th place, and now he's got a torn up race car.
That's the last thing that team needs, limited resources.
Well, that was certainly an interesting turn of events with the Kenseth and Keselowski teams having a little hiccup on the pit stop. Denny Hamlin getting the lead, but now the caution coming out right away.
Yeah, for those teams that didn't have another set of tires left, it's probably, if a caution is going to come out, was the best time for them. You can see maybe a little contact there between Trevor Bayne and Joe Nemechek.
Can be one of those things where somebody coming through on fresher tires that much faster picks a lane, and that lane closes up.
Watching. Come on. Keep coming. Caution's out.
Yes, it is. Third yellow flag of the race. Down to 28 laps to go. And Denny Hamlin is now the race leader.
Everything.
Down to the late stages today at Texas Motor Speedway of today's NASCAR Nationwide Series race, and about a lap and a quarter away from the restart. Reminder tomorrow, 500 miles for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. As we get down to the final 3 races of the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup, Jimmie Johnson, Matt Kenseth tied in points, both starting well up in the top 10. And it'll be a long, tough race tomorrow, and we'll see who comes out on top. 2 Eastern, ESPN. Next weekend, the Nationwide Series Championship flight goes on to Phoenix International Raceway. Saturday, 3:30 Eastern, ESPN 2, couple hundred miles on the fast, tricky Phoenix Mile. And Sam Hornish and Austin Dillon looking like they're going to play to a little bit of an even closer margin at the end of today, though a lot of racing still to go in this one. So Denny Hamlin ends up the leader after that last change of green flag pit stops when he came in behind Brad Keselowski and Matt Kenseth and out ahead of them.
Yeah, see the 18 pit crew on the right-hand side. They're making a chassis adjustment, the tire changer. But see right here, he has to come back. He He did not get all of the lug nuts on, and you can't take a chance as a tire changer. He didn't know if the official was watching that or not. It looked like he may have gotten away with it, but just to make sure he had to put it on, it cost him some time. And then here, they don't get the jack quite far enough. You can see the jack comes up good enough and high enough to get the tire off, but as the suspension starts drooping, the shocks have a lot of rebound, so it happens slowly. Then it wasn't high enough to get the left front tire on.
So maybe a break for Brad, that the caution came out right away, because now he gets to line up alongside Denny Hamlin for this restart instead of trailing him under green flag conditions. So 15 cars on the lead lap. Brad Sweet, the free pass under this caution. Championship contenders, Hornish in 4th, Dillon in 7th. Kyle Busch crashed earlier, running 28th, 4 laps down. Brad Keselowski is 2nd where the team championship is concerned. And they have waved off the restart for a second. And we're going to have another lap of caution before we go back at it.
Joe Gibbs and Roger Penske taking up the first 2 rows here. Gibbs' car's 1st and 3rd. Penske's car's 2nd and 4th on this restart.
In this lineup, you see the top 3 or 4 cars pitted there just when the caution came out, but you have a couple of cars that tried to short pit a little bit. You have Larson, who's got a few more laps on his tires, and Trevor Bain. Some of those, this is kind of a disadvantage to them, the way this caution flag came out.
That's how they run, with 25 laps to go, and then 2 races beyond that today. Remember, Sam earlier in the race was a lap down after hitting the commitment cone coming to the pit lane on the green at lap 72. Had to take a wave around to get back on the lead lap. That penalty was back at lap 50. Took the wave around after the lap 72 pit stop, and things worked out for him. And of course, we go on next to Phoenix, as we talked about just a minute ago, and the finale at Homestead Miami Speedway to decide who's going to be the champ.
Yeah, ticket to the race is getting shorter, so if you want to go watch a race, you better go buy some ticket.
Yep.
Yeah, you're talking about Hornets there. At one point there, when he was back in 17th, he was 21 points out of the lead. Now he's got that margin cut down to 5 again.
So there's your restart order. All the way back through 15th place, Brad Sweet on the lead lap. And Brad Keselowski, dominant in this race, has led 88 laps. Next highest total, Matt Kenseth, 42. Denny Hamlin, 38. Nobody else has led more than 3.
Denny Hamlin loose down on the bottom side of the racetrack there.
Can Keselowski clear him? Not yet.
The Hamlin might have got loose, but he's still in the gas.
Kenseth and Hornish right behind him. 4-way fight for the lead.
Nice job of driving by Denny Hamlin there to keep the lead. Got trouble off turn 2.
One around. Travis Pastrana.
He wrecked. Oh, really sorry, guys. Sorry. Crap. Oh, my gosh. All good. Sorry about the car.
Something was going to happen back there, because at one point they were 4 wide. Justin Allgaier went all the way to the top of the racetrack, passed about 5 cars in a lap on the first lap of the restart. And they were still knocking around 3 and 4 wide back there, and here's the result. No other way of saying that it's been a tough season for Travis Pastrana in this NASCAR Nationwide Series. A very steep learning curve.
Oh, you see right here, Travis Pastrana in traffic. Kyle Busch getting a little bit of a run, a few laps down.
He had a big run there, and then you can see 14 car get a little bit loose right in front of him, and as he started to push up, he just made a little bit of a turn on the wheel, turned him sideways. That's one of the adjustments that Travis have a difficult time with in these high-speed racetracks. It's just how much can you move the wheel and stay under control.
Sliding and smoking, and unfortunately catching the wall in that 60 car. Cleanup wrapping up off turn number 2 after the Travis Pastrana crash that's put us under caution with 20 laps to go today in the O'Reilly Auto Parts Challenge Texas Motor Speedway for the NASCAR Nationwide Series. Denny Hamlin holding off Brad Keselowski after that last restart. Going to have to do it again after this one that's 1 lap away. Championship, Austin Dillon 6th, Sam Hornish 4th. Mike?
And catching up with Austin Dillon's crew chief Danny Stockman and the guy you're battling for the championship a couple positions ahead of you right now. Obviously that's the focus. What's Austin telling you?
Well, we got the car a little bit tight in that last run. That's kind of what I was shooting for, and we kind of made a little adjustment for this run, and pretty happy with the car, really. It's had good speed all day. Just lost that track position early, and it's been hard to get it back, but we got enough time here, I feel like, and I think we got a car that's capable of running the top 3 most definitely. So we'll just see what we got here.
Last pit stop, they freed him up. He's ready to make a run, Alan.
Now Austin Dillon trying to hang on to that championship lead. They're lined up for the restart right behind his rival for the title, Sam Hornish. As we come to the green, that'll be with 18 laps to go. Doc?
Guys, Denny Hamlin had been free on entry early in a run, but the car was getting very tight late. That's why he couldn't hold off the 22 car. So they made a decision to free the car up. He said, you're going to have your hands full. The question is he too free on the green flag here to be able to hold off the 22? Dave.
Kenseth will try to push his teammate Hamlin. He tried last time, but he was waiting for a signal from him and didn't see it. He said, I still can't see his hand. I'll just try to anticipate and bump draft Denny.
Really want a cowboy hat, Joey. I know you do. I'd like one too. You're the first Polish cowboy I've ever seen. Keep digging.
Joey Meyer talking to his driver, Brad Keselowski, outside of Denny Hamlin at the green.
Kansas said he was going to try to anticipate there. He couldn't see his hand. He anticipated pretty well. Gave Denny a big push down the front straightaway on that restart.
Big run by Keselowski off of 2. Hornish right there with him.
Kenseth loose right there. You can see that happen. What a big run on the outside here.
Well, he does want a cowboy hat.
New leader that lap, Brad Keselowski. Hamlin trying to stay in there.
It'll be difficult for Hamlin if he's loose, like they talked about his car possibly being here on this restart with the car on the outside of him.
Well, look at Hornish has this big run coming. Nowhere to take it, though.
Hamlin back in front.
Austin Dillon back trying to take the 4th spot from Kenseth.
Yeah, Matt's really sliding back. Ryan Scott right there in the 2. Ryan running in 6th place. Dillon and Kenseth there for 4th and 5th, while Keselowski looks for some running room around Hamlin.
I think that Brad sees something there with Hamlin's car, trying to get to his back bumper, get him extremely loose where he can get to the inside and make this pass.
Yeah, I think Denny expected an outside move. Made that look easy.
You better get away. So Keselowski to the lead, 14 laps to go. Kenseth, Dillon still with Brian Scott right there in a 3-way race for 4th place. And when I mean by you better get away? When you use the air thing to loosen somebody up, you better expect they're going to try it back on you, right?
Yeah, you can expect that to happen.
But they got to get there first.
Yeah, this 22 car's just been the class of the field.
Regan Smith, 7. Elliott Sadler, 11. Trying to shuffle Parker Kligerman back a couple of spots. Kligerman back to 9th place, looking for what would be a 4th straight top 10 finish for that 77 team. Best consecutive run of those this season he's had.
It's been a solid day for him as he's worked his way towards that top 10 and run up there quite a bit today.
Parker going to make his NASCAR Sprint Cup Series debut tomorrow, driving a Swan Racing 30 car. Kyle Larson trying to take 9th away from Kligerman now. That one happened with Trevor Bayne right there. Trevor's lost some spots since the restart. He was right up there 5th in line.
Yeah, he's one of the cars I mentioned. He has about 9 laps more on his tires than mostly all of the other leaders because he pitted early into that green flag cycle.
And I think when you have that situation, it's more, maybe not as much the laps, that has something to do with it, but the cycles then start making more of a difference to your tires because you do have those more laps. So the combination of that's really not good for Trevor Bayne right now. See him fighting this car.
Regan Smith trying to gain some ground. Sprint Cup drivers talking about racing here in Texas said it, in fact it was Kevin Harvick said it all day long you're on the edge. It's a fight. You just have to fight the car and fight the racetrack and be on that edge all day long to race here at Texas and race successfully. And you're seeing these drivers even in these late laps still sawing on the wheel and having to be aggressive with their cars.
Yeah, it's just something that's not going to go away. With the setups that they run makes a challenge for this. But the track doesn't have a lot of grip. You've got a lot of banking in the corners, which creates a lot of speed. That banking goes away quickly on the exit of turn 2 and 4. There's just something to battle all day long, and there's some bumps around this racetrack, characters we'll like to call it, and it just makes it a very difficult day.
Alex Bowman, 99, started on pole position. That's 18th place he just took from Justin Allgaier. They're both a lap down.
Like Dylan making a little bit of ground back up to Matt Kenseth. Matt was able to get back by him and drive away somewhat.
Austin Dillon knows at this point in time of the season, that's a point right there.
Yeah, and he sees
his favor.
He sees the back bumper of his competitor too, of Sam Hornish, just in front of Matt Kenseth. He'd like to get past him too.
So Dillon running 5th, Hornish running 3rd. If they finish as they are now, Sam will knock just a couple of points off of Austin's lead with 2 races left to go in the season, Phoenix and Homestead, Miami. Sam coming back from a lap down earlier in the race after hitting the commitment cone, having to do a pass-through penalty. They took a wave around as they were getting ready to pit under the green. After that wave around, the caution came out and saved him. Got him back in sync. Sometimes you got to be a little lucky.
And if he should go on and win a championship, those are the type things that you remember as a driver, that you were fortunate. He had to drive hard to get himself back in that position, but he was very fortunate also.
So that's the Drivers' Championship, Team Championship. Earlier in the race, if you weren't with us, Kyle Busch crashed his car in turn 4. It appeared perhaps a tire went down. Lap 109, Kyle is running well back in the field in 26th place, while Roger Penske's 22 by Brad Keselowski is en route to leading the most laps and possibly winning this race. He's 4 laps away from the checkered. I say possibly because Denny's still right there. And as much as you're fighting and slipping and sliding,
He is right there, and he was about 3/10 quicker than Brad Keselowski last lap. I don't know if that's just Brad kind of managing the little bit of lead that he has.
Well, what a job we talked about earlier this driver and this team have done in this car. Brad in this 22, not just today, but this is going to be Brad's 6th win in his last 8 starts in this car. The other 2 finishes were seconds.
It's just phenomenal. And there's a man that makes it all happen. Jeremy Bullen does a terrific job of organizing all of this, working with all the drivers, but he's the person that deals with it, makes it happen. He's got a good group around him, but he's the man calling the shots.
Yeah, he might be the best kept secret over at Penske, but I'm not sure it's a secret anymore.
Not after those numbers this year. What a job by the driver of this 22. They chose to take fuel only on a pit stop earlier in the race, lap 72. They were shuffled back to 8th place by guys on fresher tires. The strategy worked out for them. Brad fought his way back to the front. And now taking the lead for the final time from Denny Hamlin with 14 laps to go. It's a year ago here at Texas, the NASCAR Sprint Cup race, when Brad and Jimmy Johnson had that fantastic fight with a championship on the line. Now 1 lap away from victory today here in Texas.
Bring it home, Herb.
Looking for his 6th win in the last 8 races, his 26th overall in the NASCAR Nationwide Series, and his 1st in this series at Texas Motor Speedway. Checker flag for Penske Racing and Brad Keselowski.
Good job there, Cowboys. Hey, they are asking us to be efficient. Let's see a flag.
That was good. Water bottle out because I think he wants to get a flag put in that water bottle holder. It's his signature carrying the American flag.
Time for the Star Spangled Celebration for Michigan's Brad Keselowski. We'll talk with Brad in Victory Lane and wrap up the day for the Nationwide Series here in Texas in just a moment. Stars and Stripes celebrating victory. Brad Keselowski said he wanted a cowboy hat when we eavesdropped on his radio in the late laps of this one. He's going to get one in this track's Victory Lane. He's there now, and it's time for the celebration.
And Alan, he actually talked about it on the radio before the race started, how badly he wanted to get here and get that cowboy hat. Brad, you had one mission here to win the race. How motivated were you to take over this Owner Points Championship once again today?
Yeah, well, my boss, Roger Penske, is here. And, you know, the last time I drove the discount tire Ford Mustang here, I wrecked it at Kansas. So I had to redeem myself today, Jamie, and glad he could be here for it. And I never won at Texas, and had to redeem myself from last night, too. I spun out on my own in a truck race and cost the team a shot. So feels good to get it done today with this team. Jeremy Bullen's crew chief, he's on it right now. He's really on fire. I can't remember, it was 12, 13 wins. I can't even keep counting anymore, but made great adjustments to the car. The team did an awesome job, and let's get racing back in Victory Lane.
6th time this year. He started 2nd. He'll do the same tomorrow. Alan?
Now tomorrow, race number 8 in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup from here in Texas, 2 Eastern on ESPN. And up next, college football primetime, Auburn and Arkansas. Michigan fan Brad Keselowski is celebrating in Victory Lane in the land of the Longhorn. Keselowski, your winner today.